Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Armstrong back with another weekly episode of Tuesday Tips. To get the commercial out the way, if you're liking the videos, please like, subscribe, and share. And I hope that the content of the videos that we put forth are being beneficial to you some way, somehow in your life. Today, we're going to discuss something that has hit me rather personally, and at this point in my life, I am no stranger to death. I'm no stranger to death. Received the news on last night that a good friend of mine, a church member in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, passed away unexpectedly. He was a very, very, very influential musician in our church organization. And what I loved about him is he took children and gave them the opportunity to do something in their life, because music is a universal language. And this young man definitely set a gold standard for taking in young people, especially our young males, black males, and giving them something that they could be proud of. He put a horn in their hand, a drumstick in their hand, tambourine, cymbals, whatever it was, that they could use these instruments to give praise unto God. And he was a dynamic guy. I've known him just about all my life, and to hear of his passing is very, very shocking. So I thought it would be beneficial today because somebody in our organization, he touched the lives of so many people. He touched their lives so deeply, especially young black men. I mean, from teenagers, these young men would they gravitated to him. He had this magnetic personality and character about him that you just love to be around him. He was a New Yorker, and he had that New York sense of humor. However, when he moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, in my church organization, we have what is called shout bands. We believe in praising God, doing what the Bible says to do. He took a very established shout band and he reinvented them into the largest shout band in our organization. And I mean, you're talking 50 to 60 young men, and I believe there were a few young ladies as well, playing instruments to the glory and praise of God. And their band became one of the most sought out shout bands in our organization, to travel throughout the organization for certain events, programs, national events that we would have, convocation, so on and so forth, Memorial Day. And many of the young people are hurt, and rightfully so. They had just seen him during the Sunday services, and to just learn that he was just taken away. But his time on earth was finished, and God saw the need to give him rest at this moment. So I find it necessary to try to help some through what they will be experiencing emotionally surrounding this wonderful guy's passing. It's called the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief are classified as the steps that a human would take emotionally. To cope, and the wave format of which emotions will flow. And emotions, they will flow. Okay. With that being said, if you will, please allow me to read off to you the 5 stages of grief. Some of them I will go into a little bit of a discourse on, because I know this is what some will be feeling. But the human body, or the human mind and emotional system, will go through these 5 stages regardless. I can be a witness to that, because I had to experience these emotions firsthand on my own. I've expressed to you many times on this channel how I had to stand in a trauma room and see my father's heartbeat for the last time. Nothing during that day, that morning, was indicating that that would be the last time I saw him. Nothing indicated that. However, that was my last time. So these emotions I have felt myself. I have coped with them myself. And I have dealt with these emotions myself. So allow me, please. The 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression. The last one is acceptance. Denial. Many people go through the denial stage, and it can initially help you survive through the loss. You might think that this makes no sense, but the denial stage actually helps you to have a certain mental clarity to go through. In this stage, you will wonder how life will go on, how things will proceed on, how things will return to some form of normalcy that you're used to seeing. You will hear people saying, I just don't accept this. It can't be true. It's too much for me to handle. And, you know, during this pandemic, we've seen a lot of death. Especially, I've seen it in my church organization. Many people have caught the coronavirus and have succumbed to it. Denial also has in it shock. The shock of your loved one being gone. There's a shock there. Death does bring about this emotional shock. It will happen. And at this point, those feelings that you once were suppressing, they come to the surface. Okay? The feeling of denial begins to wean off, and then another emotion comes in as anger. Anger. I want to really look at this one, anger, because many people can get stuck on the anger aspect of grieving. Where was God when I needed them? Where was the person's faith? We get mad, we get angry. In everyday life, we are told to control our anger. But at this point in grief, you will feel the anger. You will feel the innate response to lash out. One of the reasons why families often argue is because of the anger behind their loved ones passing. You have the anger because you take a couple, their system, their social system is now shaken. They're not that unit anymore. Your life is shattered. You feel alone in the world, and you become angry. I want you to understand this, that anger is a natural step in the healing process. All right? Because all of these steps are going to lastly lead to acceptance, which we will get to. Then we begin to have the bargaining phase, the bargaining emotion. You know, when something bad happens and you get caught, you make a deal with God and you plead with God. If you can heal my loved one, I'll never do these things again. Or if you go into the bargaining stage, it's beginning to negotiate. You will talk to the person thinking you're speaking to them naturally, but it's the spiritual person that you're talking to. What if comes to mind? This is bargaining. What if I had done this differently? What if I had left the house 5 minutes earlier? What if I would have told them to stay home? What if they wouldn't have went to where they went to? What ifs begin to arise. How I wish begins to become a certain saying. Depression begins to set in because your life is altered. And then we come to acceptance. Acceptance is where we realize that the good days outnumber the bad days, where the memories of good times begin to flood our soul and our mind. The memories of how the person used to be bring a smile to your face. And then you accept the fact that if this person had been sick or this person had been ailing, they're no longer in pain. We have to remember that. Thank you for listening, folks. Always remember, I'm here to talk. Reach out to me if you need to. All right? Thanks, folks. Have a good one.